Hi, everyone. Okay, so on this week, I'm sorry, sometimes I'm going to be able to do two videos. Sometimes I just don't have the energy. And I need to be working on some stuff. So, but today. So I was thinking about, I mean, there's some there. I was thinking about doing the tariffs, but I actually wanted to talk about something else. My mind has changed. I want to read to you a little bit of what happened today. What happened today in today's world? Today, President Trump signed sanctions on the International Criminal Court. Now, I read it and I thought, okay, this is fascinating. Because near the bottom, it becomes really specific on who they do not want to sanction. And they particularly don't want to sanction. They're trying to not sanction, or they're trying to limit the international court having jurisdiction over any American. So, like, no American can be brought up on international criminal court charges. Okay. So over the years, we've had this conversation about should the United States be held accountable in front of the UN? Because International Court, Criminal Court is technically not the UN. However, there's some alliances here. There's some overlap. So people typically go to the UN to express their issues that then leads to the International Court making a decision. And people wanted the United States to be held accountable for what they did, especially to African Americans. Also, we can see, what did the International Court do to, a great deal of actual of people. They bring this up, especially people are interested when it comes to African Americans and reparations, when it comes to Japanese received reparations. Um, but that's a lot to unpack. But a lot of times this gets blocked because the United States funds is one of the biggest funders of the UN. So one of the biggest funders of International Criminal Court. Where did this International Criminal Court even come from? Well, I think it's important to grasp this is a remnant of World War II. World War II and the infamous Nuremberg trials. Actually, I'm going to pause there because I want to give you, there's a Netflix documentary on the Nuremberg trials. Let's see. Yes. Hitler and the Nazis Evil on Trial on Netflix. Absolutely. Go see it. It's amazing. But this started what we now understand of the international court system. And as a whole, it's not like there's a lot that goes on in the ICC. They don't convene all the time, but they convene when there's, usually it's a political leader. So one person that they wanted to put on internet criminal charges was George Bush, but they really wanted to levy it not necessarily on George Bush, but Dick Cheney. And so it's interesting because this presidential act protects Dick Cheney from ever being tried on the ICC. Now, even though people have people have other countries have been interested in going after um, uh, Dick Cheney because America is this, big elephant in the room and they help fund these things. is it really, are you really going to go after a political leader? That the answer is no. But, one of the biggest trials, for those of you who will remember, was Saddam Hussein. Um, would we have had someone like Gaddafi probably go on the ICC? Probably, but dead. So we have these kind of conversations about like how do we, and the people who really want to have been prosecuted is, he died. I was actually kind of surprised at how long he lived because I thought that he was, dead. Is Kissinger. Um, but I think he died did he die in 2003 or 2004? Let's see. Kissinger died 2003. Anyway. Mm. So we have, so like I said, this is Americans really aren't going to be prosecuted. So then what is the angle here? And here we are. So I, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the ICC, as established by the Rome State statute, has engaged in illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally Israel. Stop. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. The ICC has, without a legitimate basis, asserted jurisdiction over and opened preliminary investigations concerning personnel of the United States and certain of its allies, including Israel, and has further abused its power by issuing baseless arrest warrants targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. The ICC has no jurisdiction over the United States or Israel, or as neither country is party to the Roma Statute or a member of the ICC. Neither country has ever been recognized the ICC's jurisdiction, and both nations are thriving democracies with militaries that strictly adhere to the laws of war. Let me pause you there because let's take a dive in in what you should be asking is what in the world is the Roman statute? Hmm. Okay. Well, I'm going to share another screen. The Roman statute of the International Criminal Court. And I think we get through um let's see if we get through. Okay, so let's get through okay, we're really not going to read through all of this for sure. But let's go through kind of the beginning. Let's go through probably looking at let's jump to page 76 and see if that is going to be helpful to us. Here we go. I don't think this is going to be helpful to us because this is just giving us an idea of who's part of this. But the point of this is you all are the members. This is the key. This court is attached with the United Nations. The United States funds the United Nations a great deal. So the concept that we're not a part of it, let's see if we can dig a little bit here to where, mm, oh, I see why he made this comment. Okay. Because the court is in the Netherlands, and so saying that they have no jurisdiction of the United States. That's fair that it's in the Netherlands. However, because this is the relationship of the United Nations, no, we do not turn over Americans to be prosecuted with the ICC. That is for sure. However, we do call people to be prosecuted, i.e., um, Saddam Hussein. And in fact, an American was the one who defended him during that legal process. So the concept is really ridiculous, right? But the other aspect to say that we do not, what was the language, y'all? Let me make sure the language. That neither country is party to the Rome state or member of the ICC. We're part of the UN. Okay, here we go. Article 5, I think is is the key. This court looks at crimes in these four areas: the crime of genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. We're the ones, stop share. We are the ones who kind of created these kind of crimes. So, I mean, we were a part of the treaty, the Geneva Convention, that began to understand what the definitions of war. So, going back to what he said, let's go back to what he said, which is we strictly adhere to the laws of war. Hmm. So now it's the ICC's recent actions against Israel and the United States set a dangerous precedent, directly endangering current and former United States personnel, including active service member in the armed forces, by exposing them to harassment, abuse, and possible arrest. Let me stop you right there. What is he talking about? Okay, I'm gonna have to stop share. So what is he talking about? And that's where we get back to the information of, here we are. What happened today? Nope, I don't want that. Sorry. I want this. Experts hail ICC declaration, ICJ declaration. This did not happen today, though. This happened last year. Um, I could have sworn, wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay, so let's look. This happened last year, and this was July 19th of 2024 that they, the UN, declared that Israel's occupation of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, is unlawful. along with the associated settlement regime, annexation, and the use of natural resources. So this means that, I mean, this is really saying that what is taking place amongst Israel and Gaza is really a inhumane effort at this. And the concept is that what does this may mean is that they have people are beginning to side that Palestine should have its space to exist. However, after this statement that came out um, by the UN, it led to an investigation for the ICC into how Israel was persisting with its aggression towards Palestine. The United States is now made the decision to provide more weapons, but weapons that were even banned under President Biden. So they're getting these, I think it's 10-ton bombs. And so now the question that people are beginning to ask, I mean, I don't know what, let me see, let's look. What does this mean? Well, it's really going to mean that if the United States is going to go after the ICC, it's really weakening its relationship for around the world when it comes to war crimes. And if not just war crimes, but like crimes against humanity. So we're now asking the question, is it really a crime to go after and eradicate a group of people? Is genocide a crime? Do we hold these individuals accountable? And who would be willing to hold them accountable, especially if the United States is threatening to retract? Well, it's not just threatening, but well, this was trying to provide a justification for minimizing the amount of funding and support that we provide. We can, Trump himself cannot get us out of the UN. That would require the Senate to confirm that. But can Trump weaken our position when it comes to the UN and our influence in order to prop up Israel? Absolutely. So this makes the conversation, the statement that he has made, which I am not playing the statement. You can look that up. The statement he has made that is now going to allow the United States to go into Gaza. And this is to Gaza and declaring that Palestinians need to relocate. And I know that people don't want to consider if this is particularly okay. But I want to bring up what happened with Liberia. Liberia in Africa was a colony of freed Africans, um, freed enslaved people from America going to Africa. And they started a colony. And who funded this? The United States. Congress, there was great discussions over how to deal with this African problem. And in January 7th, 1822, is when the United States provided aid for a group to relocate to a colony here and to a colony in Africa. And it appears, now granted, this is not state building for sure, but my point is to point out that the United States is not above going into another space and ignoring the international world. And I think the bigger question that people are going to have to ask themselves is, so what? What do we do? What does the rest of the world respond? How should they respond? That's the question that needs to be asked. How should the rest of the world respond to this? I'm curious. Um, that Israel is now exempt from ever being criticized. Simultaneously, the United States did hold Arab nations accountable, i.e., Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, not Saudi Arabia. Why do I keep saying Saudi Arabia, y'all? Iraq. Saddam Hussein is not a part of Saudi Arabia. Forgive me. I said that throughout, but I completely meant Iraq. Iraq, Saddam Hussein. Iraq, Saddam Hussein. We did not hold Saddam Hussein, Saudi Arabia accountable for anything. So, Iraq, what are we supposed to do here now? That's the key question. We've held Iraq, we've held Gaddafi, but we're not going to hold Israel. Israel is completely exempt, along with the United States, of course. I think we have to, how does the rest of the world respond to this? How should they? What should they do? I don't know. Your thoughts about what should happen, but um, it's a really complicated conversation, and I am not advocating anything. I am simply saying that this past today, this is the consequences is that it absolutely puts us in a much weaker spot than what we had been before when it comes to how this was even established. The irony of all of this is that the United States was the one who established it. And so what he's saying is that we are immune from these problems. Love to hear what you all have to say. And on that note, I will see you all later. And again, my apologies, Iraq. Saddam Hussein was in Iraq.